Hello, my name is Timothy Marr. I'm a part of the EFFORT scalping team, and my PO is Dr. Masood Sajadi, and this video is about the EMASTOCH signal, which we have created for our scalping algorithm. So first off, we're going to include the expert signal class, which all signal classes are going to be derivative of the expert signal class, because that is how we're going to be using it when we're creating our expert advisor. It's going to be through the wizard. So it is very essential that your description of your class is up to par, because that's how you're going to find your signal when you are creating your expert advisor through the wizard. And also the parameters, like here we have a parameter for the 200 EMA, and lines 18 to 20 we have the parameters for the stochastic, and then here we have another parameter which is for our stochastic for the closing price. And 31 through 44 lines we have some protected variables like the CI stochastic and CIMA, which is what we are using for these custom classes. Like custom stochastic is its own, and CI is custom moving average for the indicators. And then we have some parameter variables to fill those in. We have comments for each, so you can go through and see exactly what each one is doing in case you want to change something. And here we're assigning some values to these indicators so that we can be able to use them when we're declaring the default settings, which I'm going to discuss later once we get past them. Then we have the validation settings, which is what we're going to go into further as well, along with initialize indicators. What's important here is lines 66 and 67. This is how we're going to obtain the indicator data. And 68 and 69 is a function that's going to come later on, which is how we are going to base our logic and get into buying and selling trades. Lines 80 to 85, we just have the default settings. We have the 5 for the K period, D period as 3 for the stochastic, slow period as 3 for the stochastic, and is being applied to at a low-high price. And then we have the EMA anchor, which is 200, and the applied EMA, which is to close. And here we have the validation settings, which right now we are using the default settings from the expert signal class. But if you are working with the same type of indicators with different values, you want to make sure that you have some validation settings so that the values that you have are higher than the ones that they're supposed to be higher than, so that you don't have conflicting logic, and so that you don't go off of faulty logic and it doesn't make the user mess up your signal and how it's supposed to run. So for initialize indicators here at line 111, what we're doing here is we are just initializing the stochastic and EMA indicators, as you can see right here at lines 118 and 121. And right now in initialize stochastic, we're creating the stochastic indicator. So it's pretty standard when you're creating any type of indicator, but we mostly have worked with stochastic and moving average. So here we're just adding an object to the collection with the .add when you get pointer to the indicator that we have created, which is CI stock, which was a variable from the second line once we started coding. And here, this is how you create the custom stochastic. Every single custom indicator class has something called .create, and if you look it up on the MQL5 community or library, the standard library, it will show you the parameters, and you can go off of that and fill in how you need be. For instance, we have the moving period, we have the K period, the D period, the slow, the simple moving average, which is the moving average applied to the stochastic, and then we have the price that is being applied to, which is low-high, as we mentioned earlier. Here we have the EMA slow anchor, which is for the 200 EMA line, and we're doing the same exact thing, except we are using .create of the indicator moving average custom class. So it's a little bit different, but it follows the same framework. And here we have another way of creating the classes, which is by making custom parameters, which you use MQL param, which is a parameter struct from MQL5. But we had chosen to use this way, but this is just a way to show you that you can also do it that way as well. Now here's where the logic comes in. This is going to be your buy condition when you are going to go into a buy trade. So it's called the long condition. And then we create a signal that equals 0 initially, because when we want to enter a trade, that signal is going to be equal to 100, which you'll see later on. And then we have an index variable that is equal to start index, which start index usually is going to refer to index position 1, which means that it is going to use the last calculated bar or the fully formed bar that has closed. So it can be 0, but that is if you alter a setting in the EA, but with our signal it doesn't make sense to alter it that way because it just doesn't maximize our profit as we have it. Then we have the current price, which is of the closing price bar. And then we create some variables for our indicators with index 0, like the slow anchor, the stochastic, and then we also have another stochastic indicator which serves as a different point in the stochastic line so that we can compare. Then we have a time struct called MQL date time, which MQL uses in order to obtain time in the code. So we have this because we want to be able to eradicate some times that we have found to be problematic for scalping. When you're scalping, you want to be on New York trading time, which is what is most profitable for scalping, but what is most damaging for scalping is the Asian trading times. So we have to make sure that we have a mix of those, and as well as through backtesting, we have found some hours to be just completely problematic, so we also took them into consideration as well. And here you can play with these and see the string compare how it works, and make sure that you have the hours as to which you think makes your program better based off of backtesting and also knowledge online. And the logic here is that if the current price is above the EMA, that means it's on an uptrend. So you want to make sure that the stochastic is below 20, but it's also above 11. And when that is true, you also have to look and see if the stochastic is recovering, because you want the stochastic to recover to like it's going to pass that 20 line. And when that is all set up, you make signal equal 100, which then triggers a buy trade. Then for the short condition, it's about the same exact setup. All of this is the same except when we get to this part with the logic. Now it's reversed. If the current price is less than the anchor, the EMA, then we have to make sure that we go into a sell trade. But before that, we have to look at the signal stochastic. If it is above 80 and it is below 90, then that is what we are looking for. But also, you have to make sure that the stochastic one that we made that was IDX plus 1 is also less or is greater than, because we want the current stochastic that is before to be falling. So we want the 80 line, we want the stochastic to be going down to as if it's going to go under the 80 line, and then we can execute. So I think if you want to make some edits, this is exactly where you are going to be doing it, because this is where the logic comes in. This is where all of your functions are going to come into play, and you're going to see through the wizard how it works and to make sure that what you coded actually does what it says.